And before we get started, I'd like to give you a little bit of my personal background. I've been working in the LIMS and lab automation space since 1985, which means I'm old. But it also means that I've been able to, over that period of time, see a lot of things come and go in terms of technology, in terms of products, in terms of approaches. And really over that time, this topic specifically, how to actually see these systems be adopted, is near and dear to my heart. And the only other thing I'd like to mention is I am originally a chemist by training and got into doing laboratory informatics because I was running an analytical laboratory that was in a 24/7 environment, and we needed a way to do things more efficiently. So that's way, way back where I started. But today's topic is about managing change and ensuring the adoption of laboratory informatics solutions. Without further ado, I'll jump right into it. Well, here's the agenda for the webinar today, and it should take about 45 minutes to go through the prepared remarks, 45 to 50 minutes, and then there'll be time at the end for questions. So here's the agenda for today, but right off the top, I think we need to discuss why should we care about change management, why should we care about system adoption, what is it, how do we do it, some actual examples of when it's been done well and not done well, and then lastly, we'll recap the key learning from this section. But I'd like to start out with why should we care about this? Well, there's a group called the Standish Group, which is out of the UK, and every year, or every couple of years, they do an international survey, global IT projects of all types, so this is not specific to laboratory informatics. And what they do is they survey somewhere between, on the low side, some of them are 10,000 projects, on the high side, 50,000 projects, and they basically say, okay, what happens with IT projects? And you won't be surprised to find out, or perhaps you will if you've been working in this industry for a while, that only about a third of IT projects are fully successful. Well, what do we mean by fully successful? Well, first of all, by success we mean on time, on budget, and with the functionality that we originally wanted. So if we're late, or if we spent more than we should, or if we end up having to cut scope and functionality in order to deliver at all, that really is a failed project. So you can see most of the time you've only got about a 1 in 3 chance, typically, of being successful with your project. So we should care about how we can improve that statistic. In addition to that, which is very interesting, the larger the project, the less likely you are to be successful. So if you're in the relatively small project size, 750,000 or above, about 60% of those are successful. If you look at the over 10 million, which is a typical sort of global project, the success rate is actually 0. So you can probably see by the kind of project that you're involved in what your likely success will be if you go at it in the normal way. For laboratory informatics, I would say it's typical that the projects are somewhere in the 5 million or below category is a fairly typical sort of size. There's not that many projects which are over 5 million unless they're global in nature or very, very large. So most of them are in that 0 to 5 million category. So you have anywhere, if you go at it in the normal way, anywhere between a 20% chance of success and a 60% chance of success. So this is not very good performance, but again, this is typical for all projects around the world. So why is it? So if you look at the report, which this is publicly available, so if you're interested, you can Google it and find these reports. They do them every year or two. And lo and behold, the #1 cause of project failure is not what software you picked, not whether or not you have the right consultants working with you, not whether or not you've used agile methodology or some other methodology. It comes down to, lo and behold, it's human factors is what causes projects to fail. So what kind of human factors? And they also go into this from the Standish Group as well. So first off, it tends to be lack of user input, which means the system is delivered, but it turns out it's not what the user actually wanted. And so when they come around to use it, they're not seeing the business value because it's not really what they wanted. The second most common reason is that we have some sort of problem in the organization with buy-in. That can be at the employee level or the worker level, people who have to use the system, or it can be at the executive level, the person who is signing off on the project, who has to fund the project, who has to allocate the resources for the project. So, and in between, there can be individual sites or individual groups that are not bought in. And the bottom line of it is that fundamentally it's a support issue. Do I have enough people that are committed to making the project successful? And if I'm not, then I am very likely to have some sort of failure, whether that's that it costs more than I thought, or it takes longer, or I've had to cut the project functionality from what I originally intended. So that's why we should care about change management. So what is change management?